I got it!
Hey TP, I found some material!
God damn it, Amphy! Let's see what it is. Wait, isn't it that Jack guy I commentated on a few weeks ago?
Yeah, did you forget he does countdowns as well?
I'd rather not. Screw it, you're joining.
One thing I always look forward to in a video game is the final boss. Final bosses are used as ways to conclude the game and put your skills to the big test. And they range from epic moments to complete jokes. Ranging from ones that'll make you say, "Wow, that was an amazing conclusion," to, "Wow, that was horrible." Everyone has some final bosses that they file under each of these categories, and I will list which final bosses I think are epic, and which 5 I completely made the climax disappointing.
If you were paying attention just now, you would have noticed Jack flubbing up his own lines, and rather than edit them out or re-record altogether, he just leaves them in and expects people not to notice or care. Not working.
Seriously, if you need to do multiple takes, then take the time to actually do them instead of leaving in shit like this. It does nothing but make your video look unprofessional and overall sloppy. But then again, am I really expecting professional content from, this guy?
If this was an isolated issue, there wouldn't be too much of a problem. I mean, hell, I make some of these mistakes myself from time to time when I edit. The issue lies in that it's not an isolated problem in this video. And to think, you got an L Entertainment's case for how he recorded his lines, when at least talking too fast is not a sign of laziness. Speaking of L Entertainment, something I forgot to bring up in that video. You clearly tried to argue against his points, despite the fact that he talked too fast. It's like there was no issue at all, and you just wanted to make L Entertainment look bad. See how that worked out for ya.
As usual, only games I played and only one per franchise. Also, this is my personal thoughts, so if you don't see the time meter on here, which you won't, simply take it as my own opinions.
Well, hi there, obviously stolen joke from Josh Scorcher. How's the weather?
Reason number 1 of why I hate this boss is because you fight it after you have another showdown with it, so chances are you won't have a lot of good stuff equipped for it.
If Mewtwo's first fight wasn't pathetically easy, you might have had a point. Sadly, Mewtwo's first fight was pathetically easy.
Shoehorned just to see the golden armor in one place. This feels extremely forced and completely unnecessary, and it is just plain cheap. Mewtwo is constantly launching attacks and has aura surrounding it, where if you touch it, you'll take some chip damage.
Yes, the 1 hit point of chip damage is totally scary. Especially when, at this point, you should have well over 100 HP.
As a result, you will be losing a lot of health and assistance fast. Mewtwo's attacks are not only harsh, but they have the ability to cloak the entire screen.
You know, these screen notes may actually be scary if not for a few things. 1. Mewtwo always telegraphs its attacks. 2. Mewtwo always gives you some time to react. 3. Pichu, if available, will always ignore Mewtwo's attacks, play its ukulele, and damage it anyways. 4. You could just, not have your stylus always on the fucking touchscreen.
Honestly, it sounds like this segment is here because you wouldn't lift your stylus, or you try to capture in small circles. If you don't play like that, then please, prove us wrong. That said, why would having powerful attacks be cheap, especially since you show Mewtwo having pauses after and in between attacks? And why are you surprised then Uber tier Pokemon is cheap?
Now we're talking! Grima was honestly an excellent way to conclude a game as amazing as Fire Emblem Awakening. First off, look at the atmosphere. Look at it!
I'm looking at it! What am I looking at again?
Just because you have visuals doesn't mean the video automatically speaks for you. You have to give reasons for us to agree or disagree with. Otherwise, we could just look up the fight ourselves and provide the same commentary. It's show and tell, not show don't tell.
The battle plays out in a simple fashion. Just get to Grima and start beating him up, and you win.
Excuse me, what are you saying? I can barely hear you over the sound of the background music.
Skip the rest of the segment? Okay!
Alright, Joker, I've got you on the lines. What do you have to say now?
Oh, you're ruining my big night!
I've discovered since my last video on you that's not a downloading issue that screws up the audio. You just record it with your microphone. Dude, there are plenty of video downloaders that download the audio too. In fact, it's almost all of them. Jack, just use one, please.
Okay, seriously, Rocksteady Studios? That's seriously your idea of a final boss? A fair Batman and Joker fistfight would have been fine.
Excuse me, a fair Batman and Joker fistfight? Even if this thing takes away a lot of what made the Joker good, it's still in character of the Joker to fight Batman as unfairly as possible. Should Rocksteady have done this differently? Yes. But you know what else would have sucked? A fair fistfight between Batman and someone who'd clearly lose otherwise.
And what's with the Super Mario Galaxy music in the background? It's not like the fight had no music, or that you said you hated the music. Hell, you never even mentioned the music. I know it's background music and I shouldn't get worked up over it, but it kinda irritates me that Jack changes the music and never brings up why.
If you follow my videos, you would know that my favorite video game villain is Hades from Kid Icarus Uprising. So you probably guessed that the battle with him would end up on this list. And why not? It has all the factors that make a good final boss. He goes ham with his attacks and tests your skills in 6 phases. 6 freaking phases! What? How many phases? Shut up!
So what exactly is your idea of a reference again? All this is just directly stealing a joke from another countdown maker.
He goes all out and pulls every trick in the book in this 6-stage boss fight.
6 freaking stages!
How many stages?
So I guess by your logic, I can just post the fucking Mona Lisa on DeviantArt and be like, this is a reference to my favorite artist, Leonardo van Gogh. No! No!
Maybe.
No!
Oh, God, not this fight, not this fight.
Modern Tommy? Aww.
Yes, people, my least favorite boss in the Sonic franchise is Metal Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Episode 1.
At least until you fight the Time Eater.
Why? Then first off, it's a lazy rehash of the final fight from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. In fact, the first part is almost the exact same as it was before. The only difference is that his arms sometimes spike up, and you have a homing attack and rings. But the absolute bullcrap part is when he loses some of his health. After he loses some of his health, he goes absolutely ape with his movements, which will most likely cause you to take damage and unable to get your rings back. As the fight goes on, he'll add in plasma shots and lasers, creating a mess of things that you can't get away from. In order to beat him, you have to use a tedious strategy. Wait for him to launch his arm, homing attack him when he comes down, and wail away at him. You can only get a maximum of 4 hits before he comes back to attack, and due to him having an insane amount of health, this fight will last forever.
Oh, you've gotta be kidding me. Dust Flyer, 2,328 HP. Yzmat, 50,112,254 HP. Metal Robotnik, 24 hits. You flunked math class, didn't you?
And when he's on his last hit, he will attempt to crush the ground in the large arena that you have to fight him in and take you down easily. And due to the location being random, you better pray he doesn't near you, or you will die. And what happens then? You have to fight this boss all over again, cause it was so much fun the first time.
Fucking crybaby. At least there's a checkpoint, like, right in front of it.
Meanwhile, depending on where you saved previously, if you died to Yzmat, you might have to travel a long way before finding it again. And if you died to Dust Flyer in mission mode, you'd have to redo the entire boss rush that's in front of it before you get to re-challenge Dust Flyer. You want to tell me they're wimps again? Do you?
Speaking of Sonic the Hedgehog...
Classic Tommy, aww.
Solaris, a godly deity that has the ability to rule over the sun and time. The first reason why this boss is awesome is that you get to use Super Sonic, Super Shadow, and Super Silver at the exact same time, and you can switch over to any of them at any time. Second, this fight plays out amazingly.
You're saying something from Sonic 06 plays amazingly. This segment is null and void.
In Metroid Other M, I found MB to be quite interesting, being an AI that eventually felt abandoned and going rogue. That's actually quite depressing. So eventually, you can make MB realize that she was never abandoned for the final boss fight.
Thing about MB is, she's only the final boss of hard mode, which is only unlocked after getting 100% completion on any easier mode. The final boss of the easier modes would be Phantoon. I guess I could let this slide a little since MB is the final boss of hard mode, but I'll cover that shortly.
All MB does is just stand in one spot and have these giant side bugs to attack you. This is a surge segment, meaning that you can't move on this fight, meaning that you have a target wide open on yourself. And with that target, the bugs will ambush you and punish you. So all this time, you're avoiding punishment before the bugs eventually make minced meat out of you. So you rage quit and look at a Let's Play to see how you beat MB, which is to have your reticule on her and the fight will automatically end. Let me ask you two things. 1. How the heck were gamers supposed to figure that out?
Forgive me if I'm so horribly wrong here, but is this really that difficult to figure out on your own? I mean, aside from the Cybugs, by the way, you stole that joke from Alex, she is your enemy here.
And the only time she'll be the final boss is in hard mode, which is after you beat the game at least once, so it shouldn't be that difficult to remember what you have to do here. Unless you're talking about the first time you face her, when she's not the final boss, but you don't care to explain yourself. Besides, plenty of gamers have figured it out by themselves. Don't speak for the majority, especially when you're not a part of it. Now the number 2 best final boss segment, Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising, has only 2 things I'd like to point out. The first, this. Professional. The second, this.
Now some of you are probably wondering why I put Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance and not Liquid Ocelot. Simple. I never played Metal Gear Solid 4.
Why is it that every time Metal Gear is featured on a final bosses list, Liquid Ocelot is always mentioned, whether people have faced him or not? Look, if you haven't faced him, don't mention it. Simple and easy. No one will think less of you if you haven't fought Liquid Ocelot, and given how this list has turned out so far, I don't think people could.
Purple Ice's Mewtwo had no build-up.
Yes, it was. Before the fight with Casa, there's a room with a test tube with Mewtwo in it. Pichu even points it out, and when you find out that Casa's Pokemon was Ditto and not Mewtwo, one would expect Mewtwo to be the final boss. If you're talking about Purple Eyes using Mewtwo, A, you were too vague again, and B, the last time we saw Purple Eyes, he was being scolded by Edward, who was using Mewtwo during the first boss fight with Mewtwo. His conflict was left unresolved.
I think you're missing the point, TP. Where did you even mention build-up?
Now, hear me out. I liked the game. I just thought it did its job as an old-school platformer well. With that out of the way, this has to be the worst video game boss I've ever faced in my entire life. Now, Mario tries to have a nature that appeals to kids, but they've always had a dark final boss.
Mario! How dare you disturb my family vacation?
Aren't you expecting too much of him, Amphi?
So to see a frog in the final boss's position just ruined everything about the climax for me. You want an all-powerful creature? Nope. How about a derpish crown frog?
Aren't you expecting too much, Jack? For fuck's sake, the game's other bosses weren't huge-ass monsters or anything. No, they were fucking crabs and mice. A giant toad is an upgrade.
First off, the way you beat Wart is by far one of the dumbest you'll ever hear. You defeat him by feeding him veggies. Yep, veggies. Which conveniently spew out of this machine in the middle of the room, which ironically belongs to Wart. Let me repeat that. The enemy's machine gives you what you need to win.
Yeah, just like how Bowser conveniently places the axe right next to the bridge. This is nothing new.
You know what else makes this boss easy? He only has one attack. Just one. All he does is spew out bubbles that are predictable and easy to avoid. You know what else makes this boss easier? If you, for some stupid reason, get hit, you can go back a little bit and get hearts to restore your health. But that's not all. How about we make this boss die in 5 hits?
Bowser in Super Mario Sunshine, defeated in 3 hits. Bowser in Super Mario Galaxy 2, defeated in 3 hits. Bowser in Super Mario Bros. 1, defeated with a single hit. Wart doesn't seem so weak now, does he?
Even though this boss can only take a little bit over a minute to beat, it feels like it's 20 times that. This boss is just that boring. And guess what? The music's boring and repetitive. This is my example of how not to do a final boss. It has no build-up, wasted opportunities, silly ideas, repetitive music, pathetic difficulty, and it's so boring and unsatisfying! All those cement Wart at number 1.
Again, man, what the actual fuck are you expecting from this? We are talking about an NES Mario platformer from 1988. Of course you're not going to get some awe-inspiring climatic battle with build-up, emotion, and all of this shit. Also, this text. We've already pointed out how you've stolen jokes from other countdown makers, but now I just like to assume that you don't have an original bone in your body. Seriously, this text here? Rabbid Luigi also happened to use the exact same thing in one of his lists. And that's not all. Why don't we list some more examples? Remember when you used unfitting Mario music for the Joker segment? Yeah, Rabbid Luigi did that as well, except in his list, he at least intended for it to be unfitting. And what about that bullshit comparison you made between the Eggman mech and Yzmat and Dustflyer? Did you only make that comparison because these are bosses that Josh Scorcher talked about? How about mentioning Liquid Ocelot, only because the Autarch called it his favorite final boss once? And speaking of Alex, my god, that build-up to your number 1. Yes, I know plenty of people have already used that same dramatic build-up from Alex's list, and trust me, I didn't approve it for them either. But even then, you managed to take it a step further by using the same damn music!
I know it's nothing new for countdown makers to occasionally take jokes, use music, or say similar things to bigger and better people in the community, but in their cases, it's not the entire list. I've bitched at Waves lists before for stuff like this, but at the end of the day, when he takes something from another countdown maker, it's only a few moments at worst. With you, it's a few moments at best. Give me one thing that they don't have that you... Jontron does it better. But other than that, what else do you have that they don't? Thought so.
Grima was an emotional final battle. Hades had lots of content to him. Solaris motivated you to win.
You mean like this? That looks like a homing missile, Sonic!
Be careful, Sonic!
Totally distracts from how the build-up is exactly like last time and still continues to rip off Alex.
Iris.
Alright, convince me.
Where do I begin with this fight?
Trick question, you don't.
And that's the first blow with this boss. Iris is a great character. Why? Well, first off, Iris is a girl who has taken an admiration to dragon types, and she has become a student to Drayden, learning how to be a great trainer. She eventually traveled around leading up to the events of Black and White 1 and 2, where she appears to help you throughout a few points of the game, and being an assistant gym leader in the first Black and White. Iris then full-on training with Drayden, which eventually led her to defeating Alder, the original champion of Unova. Alder then retired, and then Iris takes his place as champion, and she's your last obstacle.
Yeah, those aren't character traits. They're accomplishments.
Red is such a great character because look at what he did. Look at it. Look.
Now for a fight. It's perfect! Being a dragon trainer, Iris' team is half dragon type with some other types of Pokemon thrown in, just to keep the battle from being easy.
Even if she doesn't have a full team of dragons, she still has 3 Pokemon weak to fighting and 4 Pokemon weak to ice. She's going to get wrecked.
Iris has Pokemon consisting of a Hydreigon, a Druddigon, an Aggron, an Archeops, a Lapras, and a Haxorus. And she is going to be what you think a team like that would be.
Not fully realized dragons!
A big challenge. But unlike some bosses I faced, this boss is the fair type of difficult, just the way I like it.
That last line made it sound like difficulty is something you order at a restaurant.
Excuse me, waitress, I ordered some fucking hash browns with my difficulty.
Each one of our Pokemon is different from the last, and all require different strategies and different types of Pokemon to defeat.
Lucario, use Aura Spear!
Vanilluxe, use Ice Beam!
I won!
The atmosphere of this fight is just beautiful. I honestly get myself thinking that this is a battle in space. Oh, and the music's amazing.
So good that you dedicate the next 20 seconds solely to something we've been listening to the entire segment. I'm just going to assume that you sucked at show and tell back in grade school.
This is my favorite toy. Look at it. Look at it.
Whenever I hear the phrase, best boss ever, this is what I think. Everything about this battle is perfect. The build-up is great.
She only had 2 appearances in the game prior, and in both of them she did jack shit. How exactly is this good build-up again?
Mewtwo from Guardian Signs had more build-up, and that thing had no line of dialogue.
The character is lovable, the atmosphere is huge and colorful, the music is unbelievably epic, the fight plays incredibly.
It played like any other Pokemon battle. But, you know, it's Iris, so 10 out of 10 would gameplay again.
And it was just satisfying to come out on top.
Was that supposed to be a sexual innuendo?
Well, considering how much he's dick-sucking Iris, that wouldn't surprise me.
I have some other final bosses to face.
So Amphi, thoughts?
This list was poop.
That was dirty, Ampharos. Go to your fucking room.
Okay.
Well, that accomplished nothing.